Another video. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing our Firestore customization. So if we look over here, you can see that we don't have much Firestore, we don't have any customization of our data. However, we do have these things because they're part of the original front-end hard-coded data. I'll show you they're right here inside general, inside teaching resources, inside teaching main. You can see that these links are, teaching main, are literally hard-coded right here. However, what we want to do is we want to add our own data. So how are we going to do that? Well, because we're using the powerful Firebase Firestore, we can go ahead and just edit our data directly in here, or add data directly in here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go into our Firestore, create a database. We already have our data stored somewhere else for the original repository, but we're going to be making your own over here. We're going to start in test mode so that everyone can go ahead and write. And what we'll do is we'll click next. So this is just making sure that you can access and write to your database. We're going to put it in test mode just because we're not going to go into Firebase security rules in this video. Next, what we'll do is we'll keep this as our location. You can choose whatever one. That one's fine. You can even choose Europe, doesn't matter. Now I'm going to click enable. And so now, after you enable this, your project will have control or be able to access this Firestore database. So as that's working, what we're going to do next is we're going to figure out which data we want to add. So it needs to be in this format where it's curriculum and then a document. The first collection just needs to be called curriculum. That curriculum will be all the data in this first one. And then the curriculum underscore fundamental, which is what this is called here, fundamental, as you see a little bit more, is what we're going to see in the switched view. And so what we'll do is we'll start a collection, and we're going to have to call this curriculum because that's what it was called originally. And we'll click next. And we're going to do auto ID because that's how our backend or front end works. It just uses the custom ID given by Firebase. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a field. So let's go ahead and look over here. This field is going to take a couple things, which is the documentation link, a name, whether you should show it or not. We're pretty much always going to set this to true, a student link, a teacher link, and a week number. And that's how we're going to do our sorting over here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create a field first, and we're going to call this name. And I'm just going to call this tutorial example. And again, this can take spaces as well. Do I want to show it? It's going to be a Boolean, and it's going to be true, correct. You can see I just click tab, right B, and it automatically turned into a Boolean. I'm going to give this a documentation link, and for this documentation link, I'm just going to give the link of this GitHub repository. And for the teacher link, I'm just going to give the link of, for example, I'll give the link of Google, https://google.com. And then for our student link, I'll go ahead and give https youtube.com. And so I'll go ahead and I'll click save. And you'll see that, look, we have our first collection with our document. And look, right over here, it's dynamically adding it because of our powerful Firebase authentication and Firestore powers. Let's go ahead and let's click documentation. And you can see that it indeed is this GitHub repository. I can click onto this teacher project and I'll get Google, student project, and I can get YouTube. Now we can do this one more time, except we'll start a collection. And so, by the way, if you want to add anything else, for example, auto ID over here, into this collection, I'll create one more. Name is going to be test. Show is going to be true. Oops, it needs to be a Boolean. And I'm going to create a documentation link. We'll just call it foo. It's not actually going to work. I'll just do this for an example. Student link is also going to be foo. And then teacher link is also going to be foo. And if I add this here, save. Right here, you can see a test. It's not going to work. It's going to turn us into our error 404 page because foo doesn't exist, and neither is that a URL. Now we'll do this one more time for another collection. We'll call this fundamental underscore curriculum, just like that. And we've given the collection an ID, which is here, but now we're going to make a first document. Same thing over here. I'm going to create a name. We're going to call this Serendipity Backpack Rocks with an exclamation point, of course. Our show will be a boolean, that is true. Our student link, oops, spelled student wrong, is going to be HTTPS, I don't know, serendipitystem.org, which is another website we've made. The teacher link is going to be bit.ly/-2021, which is the stable build that is hosted on Firebase for this website. Again, we'll do that not in this video, in another video, and we'll click save. And so here, if we switch curriculum views and we reload, oops, it looks like it's not working. Oh, it looks like it's called curriculum_fundamental. So there's actually no way to edit that. So I'll just, real quickly, I will just make another one real quick. So we'll do the same thing, except we'll call it curriculum_fundamental. So you can see how it's really important to keep inside the same format as the original one. And I'll do the auto ID thing, same thing again, and then it'll automatically appear. So I'll do that one more time. Name, Serendipity STEM Rocks. The show boolean will be true. Student link will be, we'll just call this foo again. Teacher_link will also be foo. And you can see that even though we leave our documentation link blank, see that because of the way view and Viewify render it, it's not going to be an issue. Serendipity STEM Rocks, and even if I click here, nothing's going to happen. And see, you can't click it because it's a link. And you can see that it's very nice. It doesn't actually break. So there you go. That's how you're able to customize your own data. If you want to customize some of this front-end data, you can go ahead and just add the links right here. And if you want to call these different things, for example, not week or documentation, you can go ahead and edit that inside the curriculum content over here, which gives it the title of week, or it gives it the title of documentation. You can go ahead and do this on your own. I, for example, instead of calling this week, I'll just call it resource. Oops, resource here. And you can see how these are all considered resources now. And because we use view components, which are reused, they dynamically change just like that. So once again, go ahead and try this around with yourself. You can go ahead and change some of the images, for example, here. You can change some of the content, or you can add data directly over here. So one more thing is you'll also be able to log out, which always works. And so congratulations, you now have the tools to customize this project. Keep rocking, stay stoked. Have a great day.